Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking this morning at a book from Legal Action Group. Now, I've reviewed this book before. It's the Tribunal Practice and Procedure book, this book here, and it's Tribunals under the Tribunals, Courts and Enforcement Act of 2007. Now, Edward Jacobs has produced a second edition, and I thank him very much for it because it's invaluable to us as practitioners in these courts, and I've practiced in both immigration and employment tribunals. We've given it a title from the Legal Action Group, The Definitive Guide to Tribunal Practice and Procedure, and that's exactly what it is. If you're a practitioner preparing a case for a tribunal or representing a client at a tribunal under the new integrated system, Tribunal Practice and Procedure is the guide for you. It's recently been published by the Admirable Legal Action Group. That's actually on the 11th of March of 2011, and it's the most comprehensive and authoritative guide available at the moment, in our view, to the new integrated system which now pertains for all types of tribunal, from employment through to immigration. Now, this is the book itself. It's about 660 pages long. That's the back cover with some comments on it. You've got some useful shading. You can probably just make it out at the bottom, which shows you where the Act itself is, because it's obviously quoted in full, which is of help. There's just working backwards, in fact. That is the index, which gives you some idea of the detail that this book goes into. It's quite a heavy book, actually. At the front, you've got a huge number of cases. All the usual suspects are there, believe me. What you've got in addition is the great referencing at the side, so you can find things very quickly, and you can see at the bottom very important footnotes. As I say, it's a heavy book. There's a lot of useful information. You get the structure of mentioning a case and its relevant, and then effectively some form of guidance as to how the case is relevant. And you can look through the index at particular areas that may be directly relevant to your case. Let me just say this about the book. The new integrated tribunal system was, of course, created by the Tribunals, Courts and Enforcement Act of 2007, and it was enacted in response to the then pressing need to rationalize and harmonise the former hotchpotch of different rules which governed a variety of different tribunals. And I know because the tribunals can be very different in their approach sometimes, so it's quite useful to know there's been a bit of standardisation. Now, with the new system firmly in place, the intention of Edward Jacobs is to provide a structured approach and a detailed understanding of what we now have as the new regime. That's exactly what he does. Now, Mr. Jacobs points out that the rules of procedure under the Act are broadly identical, for the most part, for the whole of both the upper tribunal and the first tier tribunal. Rather, therefore, than providing a step-by-step guide to the rules, which are reasonably easy to follow, the book endeavours to provide a context and a framework within which the rules can be applied. And since we reviewed the first edition, this new second edition takes full account of the many additional changes to the tribunal structure since publication of the first edition was in fact in 2009. So it's not a very long time ago that we had the first one appearing. What the book does is it analyses key procedural decisions which are looked at in good detail, and practical advice is given. Not merely for practitioners, but I think for tribunal members this would be helpful, and all for the lay public. Now, Mr. Jacobs is one of the founding judges of the upper tribunal and is assigned to the Administrative Appeals Chamber, and therefore he's ideally placed, in our view, to give expert advice on how the systems are working. As I've indicated, the book is copiously footnoted, and it's very much in keeping with the way that the Legal Action Group go. They're an excellent organisation, and they've produced another, treasure of a book for all of us. The author points out that the Act applies to England, and the text does, of course, refer to certain differences, mainly in terms of terminology, in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland. I think that's quite important. Let me end by a quote. A major contribution to this developing area of law is how Lord Justice Carnthwaite actually describes it in the foreword. If you're in any way therefore involved in tribunals and expect to be so for some reason or other, then this book from LAG is a must-have purchase. And again, I'm very grateful to all concerned for producing something which makes our lives just a little bit easier when we're dealing with these particularly difficult matters sometimes. Thank you. Bye-bye.